Okay, so I contacted the guy about the mid-range list who won the ProQuest. Where did you win the ProQuest actually? I didn't ask about that.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. In Germany, Magdeburg. I don't know if you know the city.
Okay,
I live in Berlin,
okay,
part of the
cool.
Berlin Meta, and yeah,
Yeah,
went there to
was it
take on
a
the ProQuest.
was it a big ProQuest for you?
32 players, I think.
That's a decent one. Did you have
Yeah,
like
so
big names there, like Maximilian Klein or someone else?
not Max, but yeah, some other high ranked ELO players. So
Very nice.
it was a decent competition for sure.
Yeah. So we're not talking about like 11-player ProQuest with like new
No,
players
no,
here.
definitely not.
So this is like now we can talk like actual performing list, right? There's no hoax.
Yeah, I think
So
so. I think the deck has legs, yes.
yeah, okay. So talk to me about how like you came to this conclusion because we see a couple of choices here that are not like in general people have been going. Week one was like the switchboard list that Taylor Crawford
Mm.
and I did like cook up, and then the week two was more maybe on the blast abuse list where I played six last blast and things like that, so that people played that as well. But we're not seeing any blasts or and have other different options here too. So I'm very interested in this. So
Mhm.
enlighten me as well.
I had my Yeah, I had my problems with Blast from the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, I always felt I had to set up too much, like embodiment lightning before, or crack my shoes or the head just to get value out of Blast to Oblivion. So I wanted to. My playstyle is more like more mid-rangey. I prefer that and longer games, not just going Cheerios and
Hmm.
win in 2 or 3 turns. So I like the longer games. So Blast didn't really connect with me. Yeah, so um, it always felt like an inferior uh, Gone in the Flash because that's like the key card in my list.
Yeah.
I often play that like the same Gone in the Flash every turn for 4 or 5 turns in a row, and just maybe block with 2 or even 3 cards, yeah, and
Oh,
then
okay.
come back with a 1 cut 7, like with Sigil of Brilliance or Sigil of Solace. I mean, that's like the
Yeah.
perfect pairing with Gone in a Flash, and
Best value
you
here.
play the 2 cards, and Arsenal Gone in a Flash again, and yeah, 1 cut 7 is pretty
Yeah,
good number.
that is indeed very powerful. So, how about those games where you can't find Guardian Flash or are faced with a lot of like Arsenal head disruption? How do those
Mhm.
games go into you generally?
I mean, I've lots of 3 blocks, and then also 6 D reacts. I mean, Oscilio can always cycle with his hero ability, but Fate and Sync also help to just
Yeah.
find your Gone in a Flash. So I mean, you will get there, and if you can block well enough, and with D reacts and 3 blocks you can, you will find your Gone in a Flash. Yeah, and then hopefully the one that you have sticks around.
Yeah, because I resonate very much with you in the sense that uh, those 2 3 turn games are not very nice because they are very draw dependent for both players, right? So
Definitely. Yeah.
when you with Oscilio or Wizards in general, actually, when you can prolong the game and see most of your cards, that's where you find your consistency. And with Oscilio, uh, the ceiling is always very high with Guardian Flash. As long as you find
It-
that, you should be in like very good position to always like win the game, right?
yeah. I mean, you can do very big combos without blast. You just
Yeah.
need Gone in a Flash. It's like it's not necessary to blast and bounce Sigil of Brilliance over and over
No.
again. You can just bounce Gone in a Flash. It's like the same combo. But yeah, you do depend a lot on that one card, Gone in a Flash.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But
Yeah,
I mean,
for
you can. It's easy to keep it around.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Awesome.
As long as you can, well, of course, you have like D-Rex and all that, so it's very nice
Mm.
to block and a lot of 3 blocks, which is very nice, right? So you don't actually fall to CNC unless it's like super unlucky timing, but most of the time that should not happen, right?
Oh, yeah, and I mean, somersault is also very good if you have more attack actions,
Yes.
or you often can block for 6 with, and then bounce them back to hand. So it's like another copy of your 2D reacts.
Yeah, that's very fair actually, because Oscilio does have a lot of like these small synergies that you find during your games where you get to actually play a lot of value.
Yeah, so you just try to outvalue your opponents turn by turn, and it works especially well against other aggro decks that depend on hits like Aurora or
Yeah.
Dash.io, because when you can deny them their Lightning Valley draws or their Burn Shock trigger, and that you can actually do it pretty well with this deck, yeah, then you will get out ahead by a turn cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, and so and sometimes you take the damage when you can do a bigger line with a big spell at the end. Yeah. And like I play Aether Spindle main board and Etchings, Mind Warp. Yeah, these are just good payoffs to disrupt or to get an additional card draw. So sometimes you take the damage if you have a very good line.
Yeah.
So that's the general game plan.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And you depending on the opponent, if it's aggro, you get in the D-React and Sigil of Solace. And if it's defensive deck, you need some more Gogan attacks.
yeah, that was
For example, against Enigma.
yeah, that was what I was about to ask next. So this 47 here is like what you bring into everything, the shell of the deck basically, right? And that is actually rather interesting because there's been like the Cheerios and Big Spell side, so where a lot of people, including myself, we side out Eclectic and Spindle, but you decide to play them. Of course, they are very fantastic cards across the board. But what does in here then come in from your inventory for, say, if you play aggro matchup?
Yeah, then the Things, the Fates, and Sigil of Solace. It's like 9 more cards, and then E-Strikes or Eclectic Magnetism, the third copy. So it's like the usual more three blocks for the aggro mirrors. And for defensive decks like Enigma or Fatigue style decks, yeah, I need the E-Strikes, I need the Entwine Lightning, and some more big spells like the Spell Tidings there.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Let me
So
actually
get over the top.
let me actually see if there's like any other perhaps odd choice is not the correct word here, but like something that is more innovative, right? Compared, so you have played these, and then you have Eclectic, Somersaults, Discharge, E-Strikes are in the here. We got Etching, Entwines you got as well. We got Flittering Gun. Just normal stuff. We got one copy of Null Shock, I guess, for MST and Rosetta heroes, right?
Yes, and I mean sometimes it's for a longer game, for the end game, you can pitch it better than Comet Storm to finish the game.
Yeah.
In the end, and then yeah, do the shock on their turn.
How has
But
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But actually, I don't like the card that much. Maybe another card would be better in that spot. But a lot of you guys are high on it, or even play 3 copies in your deck. So I wanted to test it at least. And yeah, I mean you can always discard it to Oscilio, so it's never that bad.
It's mostly just for cycling for us too, right? We just value very highly these multi-purpose cards that are instants as well, like Sigil of Solace or Shock side cards. So you get like more consistency.
Yeah, or you can pitch it for channel Lightning Valley.
Yes,
if you want to keep that around.
That as well, but most of the time it's just cycling fodder, right? How's Scar performed for you here? This card.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's just for Rune Blades.
Yeah.
Like it's very good against Vincent. If she tries to set up bigger turns, you can just destroy all their plans if you destroy the rune chants they have from the last turn and their incantations. Yeah, that's pretty good. Against Viserai, Viserai is most of the time to too quick to get good use out of Scour. It's also a matchup I struggle with. Viserai is a bad matchup.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it's probably the same for other Oscilio lists.
No, yeah, I agree. It's a very hard matchup regardless. So.
Mm. Yeah, so I'm not too sure, but it's one of my favorite cards or at least one of my favorite wizard cards So
No, that's fair.
I often try to play it, yeah.
Yeah, and you do have the blue base and the yellow base to support the card, so you will find use for it 100%.
If you have a good spot, it can turn games around, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe against Enigma that relies on Spectra auras, it can also be pretty good.
Yeah, you can hit spectral
But,
specters and you can hit cats and some of that good stuff for sure.
And sometimes it's just a blue 3 blocks.
Which is fine as well. We definitely welcome in Oscilio 3 blocks that are playable.
Yeah.
How about your one-off copies here? You have decided to play Poison the Well, Rewind. Nullshot is one of them.
Some cute tech cards for specific matchups. I would like the Rewind for Brutes to cancel their Blood Rush Bellow turns, or
Has
against
that actually come up?
Kano. Yeah, it does come up, yeah. Okay, against
cool.
Kano.
Yeah.
Just to bounce their Aether Wildfire they played with Stormstriders back to hand. So that destroys it's like if you have it against Kano, you can just arsenal it and play your turns. He can't defend your breakpoints, and if he goes for the combo turn, keep your Tunic resource open, and then you can just cancel their combo turn basically.
Yeah, that's true. That is actually very powerful into Kano. I used to be a Kano player only myself before Oscilio dropped out. So yeah, I can see the situation when you also have Shock Charmers out. They basically need to have at least 2 wildfires or super crazy high roll into you. So this is definitely a lot of percentages here. It's still one-off copy that does not always come to your hand, but with Oscilio, you get to cycle the deck very fast in general. So
yeah. And I mean, Oscilio allows you to play all these instant cards. You can just include it in the deck, and if you don't need it at that point, you draw it. Yeah, you just discard it. Same with Poison the Well, and lots of other instant cards I tested, like Kindle or Reinforce the Line, and there's several others. If you can't get use for them, just discard them. So just one copy is good because you don't want to draw 2 copies of them.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Is there like some kind of spark in your mind that came where you wanted to go into these D-React sites? Or like what's the very initial building block for you to make this deck?
Yeah, I mean, there's some synergy also with Fate Foreseen and Oscilio's ability. So if you know with the opt, you know what card you will draw when you discard an instant. It also helps to plan your next turn. But generally, it was the deck felt really fragile to any kind of disruption, and I've like the mindset, if I'm forced to block, I want to block efficiently, and don't lose value. Blocking with 2 blocks, for example, can't stand it. So yeah, that's where the directs come in, and it was a great fit for the Aggro mirrors, and I tested without them, but I tested your switchboard list, but I don't know. I came back to my original thoughts, and I'm quite happy with how that deck performed in general, and also on the ProQuest I won.
No, yeah, that's very wonderful actually, because I'm very excited about these because I do share the sentiment of that we are rather weak in disruption in general, and where there are turns where we just have to block their power turns in order to survive. And then I would like to have the option to block. Like the more options we have, the better it is. The more consistent, the longer the game goes, and all that good stuff. So it's definitely very cool to see this, and I'll have to try this out myself too. Um, and I always say that I want people to keep like innovating and not just take, the what's the term for it? Like the word of the authority or whatever, where somebody just you take their result or their um, name or whatever for it and don't try stuff for yourself. That's not where we get better, because there's a lot to innovate with Oscilio, and I think we have again come to a step forward perhaps where we see souls with this list. It's very cool.
I mean, it's great that you established like a standard list that people can work off and test like some other cards. But so you have this functional shelf you can experiment with. That's a good thing. And I think lots of people are interested in Oscilio because he's just so much fun to play.
Yes.
In the beginning, I was losing so many games, but it was always fun. So I just kept going and experimented with different card choices. And I think you can take them in different directions.
Yeah, I agree. And it's that was the goal for the Switchboard. We realized that it's not gonna be like the end all be all deck. Of course, it's just a starting point where people can, because not everyone has all the time in their hands to just test from the like no ground, but to provide some kind of shell where people can just take that to Armory and start like feeling the cards, But there's one question I'm curious before we dive into how did your games go into ProQuest actually, and how was the experience? The Aether Arc, what did you decide to play this card?
That was a late edition. I was trying like 3 copies of high voltage in that place, but I wanted some more 3 blocks, and Aethertide, Destructive Aethertide is like another contender for that spot, but especially against decks running AB3, it's difficult to get the Surge active, and this has just needs to deal 1 damage, and you get the Ponder. So I felt like in the few spots I actually want to play this card, Aether Arc felt a little bit better. But maybe, the additional disruption that Aethertide provides would be better. I'm still on the fence.
Well, the thing
could
is
be
with
a different card.
Yeah, well, the thing with Aether Arc is that your floor is always very good with the card. It doesn't miss. The Destructive Aethertide or other surges, even if you get to trigger them, might miss. So it's not always great. But this card always provides you something.
Yeah, it's even a good 1-card play if it forces the opponent to pitch, or you have like 4 value, 1 arcane and draw a card. So
yes, that is actually
quite
very true.
Flexible.
That actually came a lot up with Kano as well, where you don't have Arsenal, you block 3 cards and send Aether Arc. And it's like it's always 0 for 4 then, right? Because you or 0 for 3, 0 for 4. Depends how you look at it.
That's pretty good.
It's very nice.
That's pretty good for a blue 3 block. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's dive to the story, shall we? How was your games and the day at the ProQuest?
So actually, I had a ProQuest on Saturday, which was quite the disaster. I played Sandscour Azalea, and originally I planned to do the same on Sunday for the next ProQuest, but because it went so badly, I made the switch to Oscilio, and wanted to play that deck. Had to borrow some cards I was missing, but I got them from a friend, and so actually played Oscilio yesterday at the ProQuest for the first time in paper. So that was a bit overwhelming in the beginning, but I got there. It was nice, and I had some luck with the pairings. I have to admit. So I played against 3 Auroras during the day, and that's with the directs one of the better matchups.
That is actually very fantastic to hear, because some people, like myself, if you say that your gem matchups was 3 Auroras, that would be like, oh no, that's not very good. But you solved the matchup, which is like pretty big percentile of the meta right now. So that's
but I think I denied all the burn shock triggers all day.
That's huge.
Not all channel Lightning Valley, but most of them, yeah. And I mean, you have. I also play Balance of Justice into that matchup, not because I think they will draw 2 cards or I will mind warp them and then draw 2 cards, but it's just to stop the sword Starfall on the big turns, because Burn Shock and Channel also triggers on Starfall.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need this 2 block, yeah, during their bigger turns.
That's actually interesting. That's a good take on it.
And that worked out pretty well on the day. I 2 Auroras was in the Swiss rounds, and then I also won against Dorinthia, which actually was a pretty hard match, because my opponent had a very good Glistening Steelblade turn. If they can play, I overblocked, and then they had Twinning Blade, and so could attack again. And yeah, got 4 counters on the Dawnblade. But what saved me there was I saved one next turn. I saved one direct in Arsenal and then drew 2 others. So with 3 directs, I could stop there a huge Dawnblade later and took back the tempo. So won that matchup. I actually lost against the fatigue or Count Your Blessings fatigues Teklovossen.
Okay.
So maybe I felt a bit overconfident there with my 1 copy of Poison the Well. So I didn't try to make a pitch deck or something. But he also puts a clock on me with Singularity and assembling them their max suit. So I was just try to be more aggressive. But yeah, he got to play all 9 copies of Count Your Blessings. When I had a huge arcane spell that would came in for lethal damage, he had an additional Count Your Blessings. So a bit unfortunate there. And even when I had the Poison the Well, he had 2 of them and could play a blue in response, a blue Count Your Blessings to deny me like 4 more value there. So yeah, lots of unlucky plays there. I think in general that's a pretty good matchup. You should win. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But this can happen. It's a card game, yeah.
It is, yeah. Then I also lost against the Viserai, so it was 3-2 in Swiss. Last round against the Viserai, who just had the Portrait, Reverend Runeblood turn very early. I think turn 1, and I couldn't take back tempo, even with a desperate attempt and using the Lightning Greaves. But yeah, that leaves you without AB. So was over pretty quick after that.
That's the matchup, yeah. But glad you took the losses out in the Swiss, and top 8 went better, right?
Yeah, so but I came in on 8th place, so I had to play against the 5-0 Florian. Was a fatigue Florian with AB4, playing the Scepter.
Okay.
And yeah, making lots of rune chant with 3 into Scepter plays. But yeah, he was very defensive, so I actually did a pretty nice pitch stack into that deck. When the pitch deck came around, I could play Gone in a Flash. I think it was 6 times. One with Discharge, so that's so the Gone in Flash alone was 27 physical damage, and then an etching for 10 arcane.
What was your pitch stack then? Do you remember?
I pitch stacked Discharge, a funnel, Gone in Flash, and Blink.
Okay.
And I had luckily a Sigil of Lightning and Channel Lightning Valley in play when I got to the pitch deck.
Yeah.
And so I could play Gone 4 times. Then I played Etching, got back a sigil, and played Gone additional 2 times.
And that was for lethal, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it was overkill. He was like, I think about 10 life left, so it was a
Okay.
bit overkill. But yeah,
it's still very cool that you did that, the pit
it
stack.
felt pretty well. Yeah, it felt pretty good that worked as intended. Yeah.
Yeah, I got chills. Was Scour good there in that matchup? Because they were OTK or like turtle?
Yes, but I knew he would be very defensive, but I didn't use Scour in that matchup.
Okay.
I wanted to
Pressure?
pressure a bit more quickly. Actually, Florian can also come in for disruption instead of setting up a rune chance and not try to fatigue you, but disrupt you and fatigue you instead of doing the big play.
Yeah.
So I tried to I took in my aggressive cards. So just the Entwine Lightnings and the E-Strikes, the big spells. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that
Yeah.
definitely worked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe I like Entwine Lightning more than Fry. Yeah, I don't play Fry in my list.
That is actually
because
true.
yeah,
It's
because
missing.
it doesn't block.
Yeah, that
So
is.
that's one big issue with my kind of list. And actually, Entwine Lightning always has go again in a Oscilio deck. Yeah.
It does, yeah.
So upfront it's 1 more damage, even though you don't get the Volsar trigger.
My
So
only personal gripe with Entwine Lightning is that it's not lightning, so you sometimes cannot bridge in the final well. But that is a small synergy miss, of course. It's always consistent card and a good card, definitely.
Yeah, I mean for Enigma, which is a big part of the meta. I like the 4 breakpoint more
Yes, it's very good there.
than Fry. Yeah,
100%.
just to put my pressure on now.
How about then your semis match?
Yeah, that was against another Aurora, the third Aurora.
Okay.
There the plan just worked out very, very well. I was ahead all game. I played the same Gone in a Flash, I think 4 times. I blocked with direct and then played it twice with Sigil of Solace. Then I took a lot of damage because I had a nice play with Aether Spindle at the end. I could opt 8. So I put my instants on the bottom because didn't need them anymore for I think 1 D-React and 3 blocks for the next hand. And then I had Sigil of Brilliance on top, so I put as a 5th card, I put a Sigil of Solace for Joe. I can block 13 with my hand, and then play 1 card 7 again.
That's very good.
Yeah. So I denied all the burn shock triggers and had to fight a lot for their channel lightning draws. So yeah. And then I almost lost because I was Aurora was at 2 life, I think. I was at 11, and he attacked for with a funnel for 5. I think, okay, yeah, with go again, but yeah. I take it, and then they had 2 lightning presses, so exactly lethal. But I had a sink in hand, so I could survive that turn and kill them with a lot on my turn then. So and then actually the final against Dash.io, we didn't get to play. He wanted give me the invite and
oh yeah, you did the
got the
split.
gold
There's
we
been
did
a
split.
lot of splits. I think every
Yeah,
finals is.
it's pretty common. Yeah, but actually feel pretty confident against Dio, and it's interesting. I had quite success fatiguing Dash.ios
That is
because they
actually
don't
true.
expect. they don't expect Oscilio to fatigue. But if I cite out some instance, and even I don't have some more 3 blocks in the sideboard, so even the Entwined Lightning come in. But with Somersault, even the Entwined Lightning have some value blocking their breakpoints, and yeah, you have enough armor block and D-reacts to deny boom grenade triggers, and if they don't get their boom grenade triggers, they are quite vulnerable to fatigue.
Yeah, and fundamentally, it's pretty similar to Aurora, but you have that alternative wincon of just fatigue in them, right? That's very cool. I do see where the sentiment of it being favorable is. So that's terrific job. Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I think with Aurora and Dash.io are a big part of the meta. This kind of Oscilio list is in a good place.
Yeah.
Rizai is not that good. Azalea is almost unwinnable, but I think that it goes for all Oscilio lists.
Yes, and what about Prism? That probably is also very unwinnable.
Prism? Not sure. I mean, if you can block the heralds with D-reacts, maybe. And
Yeah.
I think it could work. I haven't played against Prism yet.
Okay, fair.
But I mean, she isn't very popular right now.
She isn't. That's very true.
Yeah.
Are you planning on then going to the Worlds?
Not to Worlds, but yeah, I got my invite for London, so
yeah, for
the
the
Pro to
whole club.
London, I will definitely go to.
Yes, because these invites are not for Worlds, but I was curious if you were going then, and if Oscilio was your pick there with this list.
Okay. I mean, I got the invite for Osaka, but I couldn't make it work this year.
That's fair. That's fair.
But actually, I think I would bring Oscilio.
No, because when you were saying that this list is very good into Aura and Dash.io, which I see, and then Enigma should be pretty good as well. So then this meta share would look pretty good for you actually.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Viserai is bad, Azalea is bad, but other matchups are fine.
Yeah, and there has been a little bit of development of people trying to beat Viserai, so maybe it's like going a little bit down for Worlds, but we'll have to see that, of course. Because that deck also, even if it's powerful, does have some bad matchups, of course.
Yeah, I hope there will be some Oscilios at Worlds, and I will be rooting for them. That's for sure.
I will be rooting for all of them 100%. I want to see a few go in day 2, strong and good.
Hopefully we see one on stream. That would be cool.
Yeah, 100%. But I think Oscilio in general is a deck. If you can get them on the stream that they are like around top tables, they will do that because it's very very pleasant to watch.
Oh yeah. I definitely got some, even at the ProQuest, but also playing at Talisha, I got some positive comments by the opponents that they said, "Oh, that's a lot of cool stuff you're doing there."
Yes.
So it's definitely one of my favorite heroes in Fab.
Yeah, that's very
He's
cool.
so much fun to play.
That's very cool. Definitely piloting him very well. Is there then some kind of things you would change with this list after you played this ProQuest?
I don't know. Some more counters against Azalea would be nice. I mean, I'm not sure it's reinforced the line. It's an instant, so it's never that bad. But I haven't had success with this. I didn't try Warmonger's Diplomacy. I think you did.
I did, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it counters your own power plays because you can't play attacks and spells the following turn. So what's your take on Warmongers?
Warmongers was alright, but the problem was that in general their average turns was pushing more damage than ours. Of course, you could like technically make them kind of like time walk with Warmongers, but you were doing that a little to yourself too. So it wasn't pushing you ahead enough. And when you in those aggro matchups, when you get the turn where you're not disrupted and you draw the combo hand, you need to go. and sometimes warmongers as a tree off just came in there and you couldn't go. So then it wasn't like good enough. I was doing something, but not good enough.
Okay. I mean, it would also help against Viserai, but sometimes Viserai just does has already the incantations on board and can play their Gogan attacks, so it doesn't help that much.
No, they can nowadays definitely play around that very well, with just making a setup turn or just swinging an attack into a sword, and that's that.
And often Viserai only attacks for 3, so the D-reacts sometimes didn't feel great because
True.
you were blocking the Rune Rager's Swarm for 3 or the Reaping Blade for 3 with your D-react.
True.
And got all the damage from the Rune Chance. So I don't know. I haven't figured out that matchup yet.
Yeah, that's true. But it's that and Oscilio are a tall order to figure out. I think Viserai is more doable to figure out because fundamentally into Oscilio just dominating stuff is not. There's not a whole lot in the game that can interact with it. Maybe you can try like 10-foot tall and bulletproof or something like that. But that would.
I
be
actually thought
wild.
of that, but yeah.
I'm definitely interested in how would that would go.
Or reinforce the line, but
yeah, that card is.
Testing wasn't that good.
That's fair.
Maybe with more attack actions, if you side out some spells and get in all the attack actions, even the Twine Lightning, and then reinforce the line. Maybe that could work. But then you are just blocking, and you're not getting their life total down.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of like if-else stuff where you mostly are losing. But we'll see. It's early days for Oscilio, and we're going forward.
Every hero has to have bad matchups.
That is true. You can't fix them all, so some matchups you just have to concede, so to say. But it would be nice to not have like that polarized matchups, definitely, where you could like take on everything if you're just a better player, in a sense. But
yeah,
I'm definitely very excited to test out your list. I do love this playstyle a lot, and having more consistency where your skill as a player matters more as well. Is there anything closing statement perhaps that you want to make here?
I would say it makes for more interesting games because lots of games go like for 7-8 turns, and it's not like 3 turns, find your combo and blast them or lose. So it's very. I had lots of very good games that day, and really close games as well. And some shock kills on their turn in turn 8 or something. So it's a lot of fun to play this deck. So try it out.
I definitely try this out, and this would be my list. If I would go to a 2-day long tournament, I would definitely look at this list first, being the contender, because it's looking very consistent. Even if I have not tried to play it out yet, but definitely will. But thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Talking about this list. Again, congratulations. Actually, one last thing. Did you... Oh, never mind. You split. I forgot. Yeah. I was meant to ask if you opened the thing, but you split. Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
Yes. Anyways, thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you.